सभी दोस्तों को नमस्कार। मैं जगदीश यादव। आज हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ डिटरमिनेंट्स। सो प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ डिटरमिनेंट्स के तहत बेसिकली हम 8 प्रॉपर्टी को डिस्कस करेंगे। ओके, सो पहली प्रॉपर्टी जो है प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ डिटरमिनेंट के तहत, वो प्रॉपर्टी है, उसका नाम है रिफ्लेक्शन प्रॉपर्टी। रिफ्लेक्शन, ओके। सो रिफ्लेक्शन प्रॉपर्टी हमें क्या बताती है? सो ये बताती है कि जो डिटरमिनेंट है, the determinant remain unchanged, remain unchanged, okay, if its row are changed, okay, changed into the column, and vice versa, or column into row, or column into row। मीन्स अगर सभी रोज को हम कॉलम में चेंज कर दें या फिर कॉलम को रोज में चेंज कर दें, सो डिटरमिनेंट में कोई भी चेंजमेंट नहीं होगा। सो डिटरमिनेंट बिफोर द चेंजिंग एंड डिटरमिनेंट आफ्टर द चेंजिंग विल रिमेन सेम। ओके, that means that determinant before change will equal to determinant after change। ओके, सो ये सेम रहने वाले हैं। ओके, नेक्स्ट हम बात करते हैं ऑल जीरो प्रॉपर्टी। सो प्रॉपर्टी नंबर 2 की हम बात करते हैं ऑल जीरो प्रॉपर्टी। ओके, so it means if all the element of a row, if all the element of a row or column are zero, then determinant will be zero, okay, so that means determinant will be zero if any row, if all element of row or all element of any column is zero। okay, So this property is known as all zero property. Okay. Next property is property number 3. So this property is known as proportionality. Proportionality or proportionality or repetition property. So in this case also, so if the element of a row or column are proportional or identical to the element of the some other row or column, then determinant will be 0. Okay, so this thing is known as proportionality or repetition property. Okay, so next property is property number 4, that's known as switching property. Okay, so switching property. So switching property means the interchange of any two row or column of the determinant changes its sign. ओके, सो अगर आप सिर्फ दो रो को या दो कॉलम को ही चेंज करेंगे, सो डिटरमिनेंट्स बिफोर चेंज एंड आफ्टर चेंज में माइनस का चेंजमेंट आ जाएगा. ओके, सो नेक्स्ट हम बात करते हैं, इसको हम बोलते हैं स्केलर मल्टीपल प्रॉपर्टी. सो प्रॉपर्टी नंबर 5, that is scalar multiple property. Okay, सो स्केलर प्रॉपर्टी क्या है चीज कि इफ ऑल द एलिमेंट of a row or column of a determinant are multiplied by a non-zero constant, then determinant get multiple by the same constant. Okay, so next property is that is a sum property. Okay, so sum property. So what is the sum property? Sum property is nothing. If suppose this is a matrix, suppose ये मानते हैं कि this is a determinant that a1 b1 a2 plus b2 a3 plus b3, and this is c1 c2 c3 d1 d2 d3. So this will be equated to the sum of two matrices a1 a2 and a3 c1 c2 c3 d1 d2 d3 plus that is b1 b2 b3 and c1 c2 c3 d1 d2 d3. Okay, so this thing is known as sum property of determinants. Okay, moreover, next property is property of invariance. Okay, so next property is property number 7. This is most important property. So property of invariance. Okay, so इस प्रॉपर्टी का काफ़ी इस्तेमाल करेंगे हम मोस्टली यूज्ड. So this property says us that if you add or subtract something from any row and column, so it does not affect the determinants. Means that determinants of a1 b1 c1 a2 b2 c2 a3 b3 c3 will be equal to a1 plus k times of b1, a2 plus k times of b2 and a3 plus k times of b3, b1, b2, b3 and c1, c2, c3. Okay, so this thing is known as the property of invariance. So invariance means the respective column here is changed by multiplying some constant and adding the respective row. Okay, so here in this case अगर आप बात करते हैं, so this is C1, the property C1 means is equal to, that is a column 1, capital C1, that C1 is equal to C1 plus k times of C2. Okay, so this thing is known as property of invariance. So it is mostly used, and last property but not least, this is the property of triangle. So triangle property, okay, again this is mostly used. ओके, चलिए इसको हम समझते हैं कि ये क्या होती है. सो व्हाट इज द स्टेटमेंट? इफ all the element of a determinant above or below the main diagonal consists of 0, then the determinant is equal to the product of diagonal elements. Okay, so that is that A1, A2 and A3, 0, B2 and D3, 0 and D3. Okay, so this is equal to A1, A2, A3 and 0, B2 and B3. Moreover, 0, 0, C3. It means equal to A1, B2 and C3. Okay, so अगर प्रिंसिपल डायगोनल के नीचे के एलिमेंट अगर 0 होते हैं, in this case In this case, this is your principal diagonal. Okay, this is the diagonal element, and rest elements are 0. Okay, again this is the diagonal elements, and the upper element are 0. So in both of cases, the determinant of the system will be equal to multiplication of the element, that is A1, B2 and C3 in this case. So उम्मीद करते हैं कि आपको प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ डिटरमिनेंट समझ में आए होंगे। सो जिसमें कि सबसे ज़्यादा मोस्ट यूजफुल प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ ट्रायंगल है, देन प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ इनवेरियंस है, और देन प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी है, प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ समटाइम्स सम भी है, and property of multiple constant as well as switching property. These all property will help you during the evaluation of determinants for order 3 or more than 3. Okay, so just go through it twice or thrice and clear all the concepts whatever discussed here. सो उम्मीद करता हूँ आपको ये सभी प्रॉपर्टी जो 8 प्रॉपर्टी हैं ये समझ में आए होंगे। सो एक बार मैं फिर भी आपको एक रिकैप करा देता हूँ। चलिए, सो सबसे पहले हमारे पास में क्या है, प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ रिफ्लेक्शन। ओके, सो प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ रिफ्लेक्शन क्या कहता है कि इफ ऑल रोज R1 and R2, let R1, R2 and R3, okay, convert into convert into C1, C2, C3. Okay, so C3, C2 and C1. Then determinant of this one is equal to determinant of this one, means there will be no change. Okay, next क्या कहता है, that all zero property, it says that either 0, 0, 0 and A, B, C, D, E, F. So in such case the determinant will be 0, or simply that any column elements are 0, A, B, C, D, E, F, then also it has 0. Okay, so any row, all element of any row or all the element of column, if they are 0, then your determinant always will be 0. Okay, next है proportionality. So proportionality and repetition property is same as all zero property, because any two row or any two column will either proportional, either identical. So again determinant will be 0. Okay, so again next is the switching property. If any two row are interchanging, then it have minus sign with the original determinant of the before it interchange. Next is the scalar property. If any scalar is multiplied, then that particular scalar must be multiplied with the determinant of it. Okay, so it says that if all the element of any row or column of the determinant are multiplied with a non-zero constant, then the determinant get multiplied with the same constant. Okay, so let do. So that is equal to, if k a 1 1 and k a 2 1. Okay, and this is the a 1 2 and this is the a 2 2. So determinant of this one is equal to k times of determinant of a11 a12 and a21 a22. सो उम्मीद करते हैं कि आपको ये चीज समझ में आई होगी. नेक्स्ट, एज यू नो, सम ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी मीन्स the determinant of two determinants the determinant of two determinants 3 by 3 order will be get together of sum of these two. Okay, so इसको हमने क्या किया है, sum of को हम split कर सकते हैं. Next property of invariance, either it may be row, either it may be column based. Okay, so invariance means, so this is the invariance, basically the column C1 is equal to column C1 plus k times of C2. So it means the determinant will not affect the property by the property. Okay, moreover there is a triangular property. Okay, so this is mostly used. So these two property are most commonly used during the solution of any determinant expression by using the properties. Okay, so these are basically a trick to solve any determinants. Okay, and how it work वो हम एक एग्जांपल के थ्रू समझेंगे. सो उम्मीद करता हूँ अगेन कि आपको प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ डिटरमिनेंट समझ में आए होंगे. फिर भी अगर आपकी कोई डाउट या क्वेरी है तो मुझे कमेंट बॉक्स में ड्रॉप करें. और अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि ये कंटेंट किसी भी तरीके से आपके लिए वर्थफुल रहा है तो इसे शेयर, सब्सक्राइब और करना ना भूलें. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दिस वंडरफुल क्लास.